Good morning, everyone. My name is Francia. We're going to be practicing our restorative yin or a restorative yoga class today. We'll be needing a blanket, maybe a set of blocks, and a yoga mat if you have something comfortable to lay on. If you have a carpet, you don't even need the yoga mat. You can just do it on your carpet. So we'll start in a comfortable seated position, and then just become aware of how tight the hips sometimes are. When we sit cross-legged, sometimes the knees are like way up here, and there's just this tightness, this holding of the hip flexors. So allow yourself to kind of relax them down, and they may or may not come down to the floor like mine do. They may stay pretty up high, but make a conscious effort to soften in this part of your body, right at the crease where your legs meet your body. And then from that position, kind of lengthen out through the spine. You can also elevate the hips if it's more comfortable for you, but we won't be here very long, so just allow yourself a few moments of stillness. Close the eyes, center your mind, your breathing, and your thoughts. Scan through your body and notice if there's any tension or tightness anywhere in your body that you are able to softly release. Any tension or tightness that you can let go of. Make a conscious effort to stay upright, resisting the urge to slouch, resisting the urge to arch, just staying nice and centered in the middle. With the next inhale, we'll draw the palms together at the center of the heart, thumbs against the sternum. And we'll prepare for our practice by chanting the sound Om. Inhale to begin. Exhaling, we'll release the hands, blink the eyes open. So we're actually going to start laying down today, which is not something we typically do, but let's give this a try. We're going to lay all the way onto our backs. And then just take a moment to extend your legs one at a time, really reach through the balls of the feet and the toes. And then allow yourself a moment to reach up, lengthening your whole body, reaching from fingertips to toes. Shoulder blades kind of shrug back and down towards the hips, away from the ears. The legs are long and grounded. Maybe you can squeeze a little bit through your glutes, kind of elevate the hips just ever so slightly as you extend. Now make a fist and flex your feet. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Maybe squeeze your face. And then slowly again release. Reach to the toes and fingers. And then exhale, let the arms come down. From this position, go ahead and bend the knees. Let's lift the tailbone, tuck under ever so slightly, and then relax yourself back down. So we're going to start here with a little bit of pelvis tilt. So as you ground your hands down to the floor, keep your feet parallel, nice and strong, legs nice and firm. Inhale, tuck under through the pelvis, and then slowly start to lift up, like you're trying to go into bridge, but not quite. Just let your lower back slightly come off the floor as you curl everything in. And then exhale, let's release. And then let's take it back. Tailbone tilts back, the rib cage begins to lift, and you start to arch through your back. Good. We're going to repeat that a couple more times. There's Duke. Good morning, Duke. Tuck under through the tailbone, lift and press a little bit, not all the way up to bridge, just slightly. And then exhale, lower down. Don't want to get butt in my face. Tilt the other way. So now the tailbone tilts back, the rib cage lifts, the shoulders pull back into the front, and you go to your hand. One last time. Inhale, tilt. Squeeze, squeeze. Maybe you go a little higher this time. Maybe you start to feel a little bit more in your quadriceps. Exhale, lower down and tilt back, moving the tailbone back, moving the pubic bone forward, letting the rib cage open, and then exhale back to center. Good. From here, we're going to bring the knees into the chest. Give yourself a nice squeeze, maybe roll side to side. Nice and easy. Maybe make a little circle with your knees. Sorry about the dogs, they'll clear up soon. And then slowly we're going to roll our way up to a seated position. You take your time, you can just roll up the way I did, or you can just come off to your side. Once you're in a seated position, let's go ahead and extend the legs. And let's find Dandasana. So Dandasana is like Samastitihi, but for seated. We want to feel that the belly is drawn in, that there's a sense of lift and opening through the rib cage and through the chest as the shoulders roll back. The legs are nice and firm, so the quadriceps and the knees are contracted, the toes point back towards your face, and you're kind of scooting towards the fronts of your sits bones. So you don't want to have this tuck under here of the pelvis. So with that little pelvis movement that we did, bring your pelvis back, bring your sits bones to the weight front of your sits bones as you ground yourself. Now place your hands on either sides of your hips, and then inhale, shoulders roll back. Your elbows may or may not straight. You might need to have them bent. That's okay. So allow yourself to be here, chin tucks down, look down towards the tip of your nose and past the tip of your nose so that you can find a gentle gaze in that straight line from the tip of your nose down. Soften into your shoulders, collect your breathing. One more deep breath in. Exhale, slow breath out. Good. Inhale, look towards your toes, reach your hands. Maybe you can touch your toes. Maybe that's possible. If not, hands to your shins or to your ankles. Inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, gently fold, bringing your rib cage towards your thighs as you relax. Now, if your hands have a little bit of bend, then try to straighten them towards the feet or on either sides of your feet on the mat. So you don't have to grab anything with your arms. You're not trying to use your arms to pull. You're trying to use your core to bend. Shoulders relax, lengthen the head. Again, find that line straight down from the tip of your nose so you can keep your drishti, your focus. Inhale. Exhale. Inhaling, lifting halfway. Shoulder blades move back, look forward. Exhale there, and then walk your hands back, bind yourself back into Dandasana position. Chin down, shoulders back, maybe a little easier to be here now. Now from here, we're gonna go for a little bit of a back bend. So we're gonna slide the hands back, and we're gonna do this one two ways. We're gonna start with the knees bend. So bend your knees, plant your feet flat on the floor. Inhale, tailbone tucks under, just like we did in the beginning of our practice. You might need to slide your hands a little further back if you feel you're too close. And then as you inhale, lift everything up. Hips up, chest up, shoulders back. Drop your head back. Stay strong and lifted. 1, 2, try to keep those hips up. 3, 4, keep lifting. 5, exhale, lower down. Extend your legs, take Dandasana position, breathe. Let all of that effort go. You can repeat that same movement we just did with the knees bent, or you can try with the legs straight. If you're gonna do the legs straight, point your toes away from you like a ballerina. Press your heels into the floor. Hands go back. Remember, you can always do this with the knees bent again. And then inhale, tilt the tailbone under, just like in the beginning. And exhale there, shoulders gonna move forward as you round your back. Inhale, everything comes up, hips up, toes down, chest up, shoulders, open your throat. 1, 2, keep reaching. If your toes start to cramp up, you can wiggle. 3, hips up. 4, and 5. Exhale, lower down, back to Dandasana position. Gather your breath here. Deep breath in, slow breath out. Good. Now what we're gonna do is move into the hips. So we're gonna grab our blanket. If you don't have a blanket, a pillow would be fine, but really we just wanna create a little extra cushioning for our knees. If you have a carpet, you may not need it, but I know I always need it because it always bothers my knees. So I'm gonna utilize it. So you're gonna put it across your mat like this so that it's wider than your mat. Your knees are gonna go pretty wide, so you're gonna need that extra space. Then let's come forward so that the knees are probably as wide as your mat, maybe a little bit wider. And then once your knees are in position, you're gonna flex your feet and open so that your ankle is in the same direct line as your knee, not tucked in underneath you. So out to the side. Same thing with the other side. This is called frog pose. I'm gonna move back a little bit because then otherwise when we come forward, you won't see. All right, now we're setting up here. All right, so knees are wide, feet are flexed out, and let's keep the hands nice and grounded here onto the mat and just rock yourself slightly forward and back. Notice here as you move slightly and gently, you're going to find your range of motion. It's possible you have a really wide range of motion. You can bring your butt all the way down to the floor and your hips all the way down to the floor in the forward position. For me, my range of motion is pretty limited. Maybe you're the same. Maybe your range of motion is tiny and you're barely moving one way direction or the other. But I want you to not worry about how deep or big your range of motion is. The concern right now that should be kind of moving through your mind is, hey, I'm doing this. I'm holding this wide-legged position. I'm keeping the feet flexed. I'm staying focused and concentrated. That's where you should find your happy place. Now, find yourself back into somewhere in the middle. And let's take the elbows down. If the elbows don't come down easily to the floor, find a block so you can place your elbows on the block. Once the elbows are down, let's start to move them forward. Ever so slightly, and let's bring our hips along with us. Hips come along with us. And maybe you can start to lower down towards the floor. It's possible you'll touch and rest on the mat. It's possible you'll have to use your arms and shoulders to hold yourself up. Try not to sink into your shoulders, but push the shoulder blades back and stay connected here. You can look down towards your forearms. Keep your feet flexed so that the big toe side of the feet are pressing down into the floor. Let's hold for a few breaths. Inhale. You should not feel this in your lower back. If you feel it in your lower back, walk your hands a little closer to you and then kind of curl under a little bit so that you can feel a little bit of a tuck under through the pelvis. 3, steady breathing, good job. 4, we're almost there. 5, now press your hands into the mat, come back. And now we're gonna go the other way. This is my least favorite way. This always bothers me. I don't like it. So this is why we should do it. Start to move your hips back like you're gonna try to sit down. You may not go very far like you saw. For me, that's about it. And that's all I got. But once you've gone as far as you can go, find your engagement in your belly and then bring your elbows down to the floor a little closer towards your body. So again, pushing those hips back, keeping the feet flexed, the shoulders relaxed away from the ears, and engage so you don't sink into your shoulders, but push away. Let's hold and breathe. Now you may be looking towards your thumbs. And if you're really bendy and your hips are down on the floor, then yay, enjoy that. Good job, congrats. Maybe I'll join you one of these days. Maybe next lifetime, who knows? But this for me is about as far as I can go for this one. It's a good one though. You should wanna kind of hold, but remember, you don't want to force. So at any point where your body's given too much and you need to come out, come out. We're only going to be here 3 more seconds. 1, 2, and 3. Now inhale, press into the hands, come up. To come out of this is going to be a little funky. Bring one foot in, point the toe, you can tuck it under and help that knee in. Then do the same thing on the other side. Bring that foot in, tuck the toe, help bring that knee in. Once both knees are in, keep them together and then sit the hips back. Once the hips are back, make yourself fold over your thighs. Maybe the head can rest, or you can make a pillow for your head, or you can use a block to rest your head on the block and arms back. Whatever feels good for you here. Relax your shoulders, relax your thighs, relax your hips. Relax the back muscles, breathe easy. Nice deep inhale, slow, gentle exhale. One more breath. And exhaling slowly. You can move the block out of the way if you were using it. Okay, now we're going to keep the blanket where it is just because there's no need to move it, but we'll move it in a moment. Come to your hands and knees so that your knees are still underneath your hips, hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale, move into cow. Opening the heart, lifting the chest, tailbone tilts up, chest open, chin up. Maybe you can look to the tip of your nose or you can look up towards your third eye. Exhale, curl everything under. Tuck the tailbone under, round the spine, press into the floor, separating the shoulder blades. Again, inhale, go to cow. Deep breath in, lengthen your abdomen, shoulders back. Exhale, curl under. Shoulders separate, tailbone tucks, chin to chest. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Good. And then just go ahead and come forward. Let's tuck the toes under so that we can balance on our toes as we fold up our blanket. So you can take your blanket. We're gonna fold it up pretty small because we're gonna use it for the next pose. So maybe kind of turn it into almost like a little cushion. All right. Or if you already have the cushion that side, you're perfect. Okay, so from here, bring the knees down. You can move on to the side and come to a comfortable seated position. Fire log pose is next. If you've been coming to my classes for a while, you know how much I don't love this pose, which is why I usually don't do it very often. But what we're gonna do is you're gonna take your right foot and line it up with the front of your mat so that your foot is not at a diagonal from the side, but nice and parallel, your shin, nice and parallel to that front of your mat. So once you've kind of settled yourself there, you'll notice if that right knee is really high up or all the way down to the floor. You want to keep your hips centered. So what I like to do is I take the blanket in its most uplifted position and I use it to hold that knee, because we're going to hold this for a little bit, so you want to be comfortable. And then on the other side, you're going to take that other foot, and here's option A. Just kind of bring it on top of the blanket. So just it crosses over and you line up your knee with your bottom foot. Option B is to take it up on top of that knee. Now for me, that takes a little bit of wiggling and adjusting, and there's a big gap right here. We want to close this gap. So one day we want this left knee to rest on that right foot. Today may not be that day. It's definitely not that day for me. So I'm going to use the block to support my left knee. I'm going to use my hands to lift my chest, keep myself upright, maybe even lean back a little bit so that I can really kind of connect with the sensation of the hips. You want to keep both your feet flexed, the right foot and the left foot, and try not to dump your weight to the left or the right. Kind of keep yourself as centered as possible. And as you hold this, you might start to notice that the body starts to give a little bit of leeway. Maybe. Depends on the day. If your body is not giving you any leeway, then you're going to hold and you're just going to be where you are and allow it to just breathe through it. Don't overdo it. If you start to feel like your body's giving you a little bit of a green light, then maybe you can kind of come forward, grab your right knee with your right hand, grab your left knee with your left hand, and use that connection here to stay upright. So depending on, your level of flexibility, you may or may not need the block, you may not or may not need the blanket. For me, as I start to hold and be here and allow the body to take the shape, I notice that I no longer need the blanket under my right knee, and I need a little less under my left knee. And this is not something I could have done when we started the posture even today. But as I hold, I find that that's available for me. That may not be the case for you. And always check in that your feet are flexed and that you're staying with those shins parallel to the top of your mat. So your feet aren't coming in towards your body. They're actually forward. Sometimes this pose is called fire log pose or something like that. It's called, I don't know the Sanskrit name for it. Again, it's not one of my favorites, but it is what it is. So we're gonna just be here for a few more breaths. Again, if you need those hands behind you, use them. And one last option, I won't partake in this last option. I'm gonna decline my own invitation, but if you're so willing, you're welcome to fold forward over your legs. And if you feel like you don't need any props at all, slide that blanket out from underneath your foot or your left knee and let that left knee come to the foot. I'm gonna stay right here. This is where my body needs to be, but you feel free to fold forward, bring your chin to the floor, lengthen your torso, find this as deep of a posture as your body wants. Check in with your ankles, make sure your ankles aren't kind of swooping down. Keep that nice ankle straight, both on the right and the left side. Lifting through the rib cage and chest, shoulders relax. Good job. The mind's gonna start to maybe wander or maybe start to like, hey, how long are we gonna be here? There's all kinds of things that could happen. If this is a comfortable position for you, you're like, I could be here all day. If it's a little tough for you, like it is for me, then you're like, okay, when are we done with this? So we're just gonna hold for just a few more breaths. Maybe close your eyes. Allow the breath to flow in deeply, flow out slowly. Again, double check, scanning through the body. Each time you remember to just keep those ankles straight, keep those feet flexed, keep the hips relaxed. If you're holding onto your knees, don't grip, but just gently touch, or you can bring your hands to either sides of your body to kind of help you stay upright. You want to keep your torso as tall as you can, even if you're folding forward. Stay nice and upright with your chest, with your spine. Let's be here just a few more breaths, letting go of anything that no longer serves us and surrendering what we find, letting the universe transmute it, change it into something positive, into something uplifting. Let go of the need to adjust or move or change. Simply be. See what happens when you just are. Take one more deep breath. Inhale. Exhale completely. Good. And then we're going to go ahead and bring the hands to that front knee. If you have the block or the blanket or any props, let's slide that out for a moment and see what happens if you start to lean forward. Maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of gap there. You can hold for a little moment. Just try, just see. If it doesn't feel good, go back to being upright. We're just trying to lean forward. If it's available, maybe hands in front. If not, hands to the sides. No worries. And then inhale, lift your chest. Hold left leg, lift it up, bring it down. And then slowly start to uncross your feet and slowly bring those knees together. It's going to feel funky, especially for that top hip. Once the knees are together, give yourself a hug, forehead to the knees. Round your back, scoop out your abdomen, relax your shoulders. Inhale and exhale. Good. Before we do the other side, we're just going to move a little bit through the hips. So separate your feet about hip width. And we're going to lean back slightly so that we can drop the right knee to the left foot, back to center, drop the left knee to the right foot. So I said right knee to left foot, left knee to right foot. So we twist side to side. Just kind of allow yourself to move a little bit here. And if it's available for you, you might want to kind of lift a little bit through the hip as you drop the knee. Lift a little bit through the hip as you drop the knee. Let's do one more time each side. And maybe your butt starts to kind of wiggle. You might need to readjust it. I know I do. And back to center. Good. All right, let's extend the legs, prepare with our props. So now the left leg is going to be first. Bend the right knee, kind of hug it in towards you. Prepare that left foot. So I like to kind of settle the leg properly here. Make sure that shin is lined up. Then I use my blanket at the thickest level to start, because that's always going to feel better to start. Then you take the other foot either on top or right on top of the blanket. Remember, that's an option too. You can always have it even on the floor. And once you come back, I think it's a magical thing, because look, there's no way this knee is going down, but eventually it does. It's weird. So we get the right knee supported by the block. I like the block at this level, but maybe you want it a little shorter, or maybe you want it a little higher. So play around with what your body needs. Always do that. Flexing the feet, make sure that the ankles are not swooping down, right? So the ankle needs to be nice and strong. Same with the bottom ankle. The bottom ankle easier because the floor is holding it. This top ankle can like bend itself. So flexing the foot, pushing the heel out will keep your knees and your hips and your ankles safe. All right, from here you can bring your hands back, kind of lean back. Settle in, start to notice, okay, it's not so bad. I can be here, I feel supported. I got my blanket, I got my block, I got the earth, and I got the strength of my own willpower to be here and hold. And if it starts to feel okay, then you can start to kind of bring your hands a little bit more forward and or grab your right knee with your right hand, left knee with your left hand, and then stay upright. This upright position is the same idea we did with Dandasana. So this sense of stacking yourself over your pelvis. That's what we want to achieve here. We don't want to succumb to the posture by rounding, and we don't want to overdo it by arching. So just finding a nice upright place where the abdominal muscles are engaged and the torso is kind of just really well stacked, really well supported. And if you're holding onto your knees, again, you're not gripping for dear life. Let the hands be soft, let the fingers be soft, just gently touching. As you hold, you might decide, okay, I'm comfortable here. Let me try moving one of the props, see what happens. And then you're like, oh, well, this one might also be a little high. Isn't that magical how it comes down? It's so weird. I'm always like in awe. And then the other knee can come down and you can find yourself either hands to the sides or again, keep holding on. And on this side, this left knee doesn't quite come down to the floor, but it doesn't bother my hip and it doesn't bother my knee. So if there's a little gap there and it doesn't bother your hip or your knee, let it be. If the gap is there and it does bother you, then use the block or use something to help support it. You don't want it to be pulling on your hip or on your knee. So once we're here, we're holding, we're breathing, and we're just stabilizing, seeing how all of this feels. This might not feel yummy. A lot of stuff sometimes doesn't feel yummy. But sometimes in yoga, we do get to feel yummy feelings. Maybe this does feel yummy for you, and that's great. I don't know what that would feel like. It's not me. But if you can, close your eyes, soften your shoulders, stabilize your breath. And again, be here with either the non-yumminess or the yumminess. And then, of course, the invitation that I will not partake in, you're welcome to fold forward over your shins, allowing yourself to kind of bring your chest down and your chin down towards the floor. Avoid rounding, avoid arching, but just kind of find yourself in a sense of peace, calm, steadiness, letting go of anything that doesn't serve you. So no fighting with your body, no forcing your body to stay here, but suggesting, hey, we're okay if we stay here a little longer. It's okay if we're in a little bit of discomfort. How can you turn this discomfort into a positive for you, for your life, for your practice? How can we transmute, change, alchemize the difficulty and the discomfort into something that is positive, uplifting, serving? Maybe as you breathe, you start to kind of let go of the need to do anything different except for just be here. Conscious effort to relax through the hip flexors and the groin. Keeping the feet flexed, making sure those ankles aren't relaxing. And then we're going to go ahead and slowly release the hands if they're on your knees. We're going to remove that last prop or two if you still have them. We're going to reach that knee down. It may or may not touch the foot. It's okay. Fingertips can go on either sides of you as you start to lean yourself forward. And you might find that the knee comes down a little bit more. You always can put your hands in front if that's available for you. For me, that's a little too much. So the hands on either sides helps it a little bit better. You can also have your hands behind you, pushing you forward. Another option there. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, and then slowly inhale, come up. We're going to be very slow and mindful about this. Lean back, take one foot down, uncross your feet. Use your hands to help bring your knees back together. Be very slow and mindful and controlled with this. And then slowly start to round yourself forward. And again, give yourself a squeeze. Thank you, body. Thank you, hips. And then slowly we release. All right. Separate your feet as you lean back. And then again, let's do those tilts in. This just feels like a nice way to relax the hips after all of that. You can go really slow like I'm going. You can go super fast. I had a teacher used to call these windshield wipers. With the weather we've been having, it's very apropos. So we can try wiping the windshields of our hearts and let the rain and the storm rage on outside. All right, although the sun seems to be coming out a little bit now. Okay, good. So last one, and coming back to center. All right, very nice. So let's move a little bit into some back bending just to release the fronts of those hips. Those are gonna feel a little tight. You're welcome to use your bolster or blocks. I'm gonna demonstrate with blocks today just because I know most of us don't have a bolster to use. But if you have your bolster, you know what to do. Sit up nice and tall, place the bolster right up against your lower back, and then lean back. If you're using blocks, lay all the way onto your back. You're gonna take one block at the middle level, place it underneath the sacrum, keep the feet planted on the floor. So this is one option for you to do here with the block at your lower back, arms down, and then when you're ready, you can extend your legs. And if you're using the bolster, you can also extend your legs. Relax your shoulders and let yourself be here. If this feels like it's way too much for you, you can place another block underneath your shoulder blades, and that's going to keep you a little bit more upright. But this is a good place to be if you want to just really kind of release the psoas, the hip flexor muscles, the tops of the quadriceps where it connect with your hips. Just kind of open up to that front area. If you don't feel a stretch and you want a little bit more, you can go ahead and lift your hips and then make your block a little higher and again extend through your legs. Keep the knees soft though, so even though your legs are extended, you don't want to like push your legs away. Just let them land wherever they land. And if you don't want to do this with the bolster, you want to try with the block, give that a try. Now these blocks that I have, these foam blocks, which is what most people use, they tend to not hold our weight very well. They're wonderful and soft under the hands, but they might feel like a little bit unstable. And allow yourself to be with that. Keep your feet open wide so that you can create a nice foundation. And you can keep your arms wide too. That's going to keep you a little bit more stable as well. So relax and breathe. So either using the bolster or you're using the block. See if you can find that nice length in the front body. However high or not so high the block is underneath your sacrum, just let it be where it is. Try to relax your glutes. And then exhale, let's slowly bend the knees. Bring the feet towards your body. Inhale, lift up through the toes to elevate the hips. Move the block out of the way, and you can settle back down. All right, so then the second one, the bolster, again, is also really useful, keeping it where it was before. You can take the block at its middle level or lowest level and place it between the shoulder blades. Once the block is in place, lengthen your legs and drop the top of your head down to the mat. So you want to feel comfortable here in this wide open arching position. The bolster is really nice because it helps support your whole body. But the block is also really nice because it gives you a lift through the middle, through the chest and rib cage, and it lets your head come down. If you want a little bit more, you can make that block a little bit higher. So maybe that middle position. See how that feels? Sometimes that feels nice too. And then again, you want the top of your head to rest firmly on the floor. So you don't want your head kind of hanging out in midair. It's going to create too much tension for your neck. So this wide open throat position really kind of helps to open up the front body, the heart. And it's a little bit awkward and exposing. Sometimes when we get into these types of poses, we tend to really want to, I don't know, come out quickly. We want to cover up, we want to squeeze back in. So just give yourself a moment to be with that sensation of exposure, of you're open-hearted. You're an open-hearted person right now, just completely open to whatever comes. Let yourself note that. Keep your hips down. And even though the legs are slightly engaged, they're somewhat relaxed. So the toes are kind of reaching away from you. But you're not squeezing through your quadriceps. You're not trying to stretch into the legs at all. Just keep them firm. Softly relax your shoulders, close your eyes. Stay here, breathing deeply. Inhale. Pause at the top of the breath. Exhale. Pause at the bottom of the breath. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Few more breaths, just like that. Softly relax where you can. Avoid tensing any part of your body that's not needed. With the next inhale breath, let's start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Maybe you can bend your knees, plant your feet on the floor. Reach behind you, fingertips to the back of your head, and then inhale, gently help guide your head up so you can look towards your knees. Move the elbows in, shoulders away from each other. You can either stay here and try to finish curling up, or I like to reach for my legs for a counterbalance. And then as I inhale, I start to squeeze myself up to seated. Once you're up and seated, bring your knees in, hug the knees to the chest, and again, move the middle back out. So that place where the block was, push against that spot so that you can really go the opposite direction. Shoulder blades away from the ears, forehead to the knees. Easy breathing, let the head be relaxed, let there be no tension in your neck. And slowly we'll release. You can move the block off to the side. And then let's make our way back to we're gonna go forward to a supine position. So cross your ankles underneath your body, hands slightly in front of your feet, not too much forward, slightly in front so that you can start to pick yourself up and then step or walk your feet back, bring your knees down and take Balasana, take child's pose. Hands by your feet, forehead down, or arms forward, long spine. Your feet can be together or your knees can be together or they can be apart. You can decide how you want your Balasana to look or feel. Let's just be here for a few more breaths. Deep breath in, slow breath out. Next, inhale, slowly lift the head. Bring your weight forward, back onto your hands and knees, and we're gonna lower ourselves down to the floor. So walk your knees back so that your knees are not underneath your hips anymore. And then roll your weight forward onto your shoulders. Squeeze your fingers. Exhale, lower yourself down with control. Once you're on the mat, separate your feet, press the tops of your feet down and slide your elbows forward. Let's take Sphinx pose. Shoulders roll back, lift your chest, relax your glutes, and just look forward. Let's just be here for a few breaths. You can also do this with the support of your bolster. You can bring your bolster in front of you and then just kind of bring your forearms to it. It'll be a little bit more intense than this one, so decide if you want more intensity or less. Moving the shoulders back, and imagine that you're gripping your mat with your fingers and your forearms, and you're sliding yourself forward using just the momentum of your arms. So there's this sense of pulling yourself forward and up, relaxing into the glutes, engaging into the inner thighs so your feet don't flop out, keeping them nice and pressed into the floor. Quadriceps contracted and glutes completely soft. So unclench, relax your glutes. Exhale, open the elbows, slowly make your way down, turn your head to the side. And let's just kind of wiggle around a little bit here. Let the Hips relax. Good job, you guys. So we're gonna try that one more time, but this time we're gonna add a little bit of a lift. So if you press the tops of the feet down, engage your legs. Inhale, come back into your Sphinx pose. So shoulders, elbows and shoulders are nice and in alignment. Moving the chest through, opening your heart, chin up. Inhale, if it's available for you, press into your hands and try to straighten your arms. It may not be available. You can maybe keep the elbows bent a little bit. That's okay too. Shoulders back, lift your chest, and maybe chin up, or keep your chin parallel to the floor, shoulders away from the ears. Breathe here. If it's too much, come back to your elbows. If it feels okay, stay. One more breath. Inhale. And then everyone make it back to the elbows. Exhale. Stay here. Again, moving your body forward, opening the ribcage and chest. And then exhale, open your elbows, turn your head the other direction. And again, wiggle those hips. Relax the shoulders. Easy movement of breath. We're going to roll over onto our right side. We're going to just flip over like a pancake. So roll over onto the side, flip yourself over, come back onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest once more. Give yourself a nice hug, a nice squeeze. Maybe move the knees into and away from the body, side to side. And we're going to take a happy baby here. So our happy baby, sometimes not so happy. Let's start with the knees open wide and sometimes really happy. So we're going to see how happy the baby is. As your knees open really wide, you're going to bring your hands inside your legs and hold the pinky edge side of your feet. So this might be as much as you got to give today. This is as much gas as you got, and this is it. If you cannot reach your feet, you can use a strap or a, I don't know, scarf, something long, a belt, something long that you can hold on to here. Men's tie, a dog leash, that's what Dawn used last time, a dog leash. All right, so if you have something, your feet, your tie, whatever it is, then we're gonna inhale and we're gonna start to lift the heels up as we keep the knees down towards the shoulders. So when you look at your feet, they're flexed, so the soles of your feet are facing the ceiling, and your shins, your calves, are perpendicular to the floor. Your thighs are parallel to the floor. So there's a deep bend in the knees, and you're trying to move those knees in towards the shoulders. Now you're welcome to stay here if this is enough, or you can try bringing one knee down, coming back to center. I don't have room for the other knee, but bringing the other knee down, coming back to center. So you can move both sides here. Relax your shoulders, try to flatten out your back. Good, good, very nice. Couple more breaths. Easy as you hold. Again, find that surrender where the effort is just enough and the ease kind of complements it. So we're not working too hard and we're not sitting here just totally chilling. Exhale, let's start to lower the heels down towards the floor, towards the hips, and then come back to that place where we started. We were just holding on to the feet. Let's release the feet, bring the arms on the outside, bring the knees in, and then once more, maybe this time you can lift your head and squeeze yourself as you hold tightly. Hold on to your opposite elbow, squeeze, 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 and then exhale, let's release. All right, so we're gonna set up for our sound healing. You can stay on your mat, laying down, and you're welcome to cover up, put on a blanket, or put on some socks, whatever your body needs here to stay comfortable. The last part of our practice is all about relaxing. So before we begin our sound healing, let's make sure that the breath is mindful and it's intentional. So each time that you breathe in, give yourself that moment to be aware that you are breathing in. just the sense of awareness. I am breathing in. And once you feel nice and, we'll see how it goes, because now that the audio changed, you guys will be able to hear all the dogs barking and stuff. Hopefully they won't. Deep breath in.